All right, guys. So it's time we talk about this whole rumbling thing that Eren has unleashed to the tech.
Unleashed the rumbling.
Exactly. And before I go into my grievances with the rumbling, I want to mention 2 points that I'm coming at, right? Or 2 points that I want to address. Number one, I'm not going to attack the rumbling based off morality, right? Because at the end of the day, the show is known to be grayish and it's never about black and white morality, right? So that's number one. And number two, I do somewhat understand Eren's motives, and there's a little bit of justifications why he's doing it. My big issue with the rumbling is his conclusion, because there's one being like, I hate the world, or the world's did me wrong, you know, this is how I feel. That's one hand. The other hand's being like, okay, let's just destroy everybody. Because the reason why I have a problem with his conclusion is it feels like a thing where he's been told that he's going to be doing this, and he completely just accepts the fate. It's not like he questions it. He doesn't try to challenge it. It's just like, okay, you know what? This is freedom. I'm going to go for freedom. This is what I believe is the best way.
Yeah.
And just, that's where I have an issue with it. And it makes me hard for me to empathize with Eren, because unless he really was trying to fight it, it just comes off as he just seems defeatist about the whole thing. So that's my opinion about the whole thing. If you guys have any, like, you know.
Yeah, and just to give some context, because this is a new video, we've made Attack on Titan videos before, but for this one, we just want to make clear that I'm the only one that's read the manga till the end, and then Juku knows you have not.
Yeah.
I won't spoil anything, so you guys don't have to worry. But as far as part 2, the ending, yeah, I can definitely understand what you're saying. First off, though, in terms of morality, I feel like it's pretty black and white. I feel like you should not kill everyone like in the world other than one island. That feels pretty black and white to me, bro. Like, I just feel like,
I mean, I think that the message of the show is that, like, things are really complex, but I think what the show is doing is very interesting. Is it's forcing people to reevaluate their view by pushing their logic to the extreme extent. So with Eren, he's the embodiment of, you know, we need to be free from all this at all costs, no matter what. And the logical extreme of that point of view apparently is for everybody in the world to be dead, because there's no other way for them to be free of the hatred of
I can think of plenty of ways, bro.
But I was going to say, my point with it, and this is my problem, because, like, I see where you're coming from, Scott, and, like, when I'm and I think I'm biased because I'm a writer. So as a writer, my thing with characters is, like, it's not my job to, like, agree with a character's action, but to understand why they go with a certain action. You know, it's like, for example, why we love villains like, you know, Zahir, or even the Joker from the the Dark Knight series, right? Where it's like, we don't agree with what they're doing, but the story does enough of a job that we can understand why they came to that conclusion. Or even, let's just take Pain, because Pain has a pretty, like, you could arguably say Pain from Naruto as a extreme conclusion, but we can kind of get why they came to that conclusion. My problem with Eren is that I don't get why he came to that conclusion, other than the fact that he saw a vision. Like, everything else is just like, okay, even if you want to make an argument that he saw a bunch of, like, they show scenes where he's in or there's like a conference and they hear them talking about, oh, we hate.
No, this might be where I disagree, because I think it makes sense as far as, like, he is the embodiment of going to the furthest extreme that you can go to, because, like, he's the Attack Titan. He keeps moving forward, and it doesn't matter what the price is. He's going towards this goal no matter what.
Okay,
but I think, Shuku, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're trying to say that everything that's happened in the story so far doesn't necessarily lead to Eren making these decisions, right?
It's okay. It's not just that, but it's more to me that I don't really see. I guess my biggest problem is, and and to be fair, I'm comparing it to a different character. Let's take Teen Titans, for example, right? Because this is a trope, right? Where a character sees a prophecy about the world ending, and it's like they can't do anything to stop it, and whatever kind of thing, right? And my problem is that usually when characters see this, their first conclusion is, what can I do to stop it? Like they try to do everything they can to stop it. And then at some point they go, okay, I did everything I can. It makes sense that this is what I have to do. My problem is we don't see that with Eren at all. Like it literally is just like, okay, I see a vision, I have to follow it. I
think it's more like he sees the vision, but he wants to go for it. I don't think it's like he's against the idea.
Okay, this is where I slightly disagree with you.
Slightly disagree? You sure about that?
The reason why is because if you look in the recent episode, it sounded like Eren was kind of like, because there's one scene where he sees that group of people, and then the part where that guy just randomly pops up.
Oh yeah.
Mikasa, and he's like saying something about, he kind of implies that he's going to kill these people, and he feels guilty. So for him to feel guilty about that implies that he doesn't want to do this to some degree. There's a level of like remorse, or a level of like, you know, like, oh, this is gonna suck that I'm doing this.
But remorse isn't the same thing as not wanting to do it.
I guess, but then my problem is, I don't know.
I think it makes sense if you're like, maybe he's just like, he's resigned to this course of action because he, like, part of him really wants to go this way. Part of him really wants to destroy the entire world. And yeah, he might feel sad, he might feel remorse about like the people who will be caught up in his quest for revenge, but you know, deep in his heart, I think
it's more like a quest for freedom rather than quest for revenge.
Revenge is part of it for sure, because like that flashback to his mom at the end, revenge is definitely part of it.
Not to mention, he mentioned the line that his justification towards I think it's Historia, where it said something like, the only way you can destroy hate is like having bigger hate or something like that. So that kind of sounds like a revenge kind of like, that's basically, that was his justification, or I guess you could argue his just reason why he's somewhat okay with it, or his rationality behind it. But at the end of the day, again, my biggest issue is just like, if he's, I would, for a character, to me, it's just, I don't like the idea that a character who seems to be against it is not doing any, like, let's compare him to Grisha, right? That scene where Grisha, there we go. Thanks, Scott, always correcting me. But Grisha, when Grisha was trying, like when Grisha was about to kill those people, like those people in the underground.
The family, the Reese family.
Yeah, that family. Like at first, Grisha was about to do it, but then he's like, no, I can't do it, right? But then Eren comes in and kind of forces him to do it. And that's something where, for me, I wish Eren, and I get it, Grisha and Eren are different characters, but I wish I saw more of Eren like that, where it's like, no, I don't want to do it, but then something like, I don't know, future Eren comes back to Eren saying, Eren, you know you have to do this. You don't do this. Remember your family. Then, like something like that.
Your gripe is that you wish that he had more internal conflict about his choices. I think he's just not that type of person. I think he's just not that character. I think he's just a character who is determined for his goals.
I guess that's fair on that point, but it just, I don't know. It helps. It's hard to feel like to some degree he's a victim, because it's like he can't control the outcome. But on some hand, it's hard for me to empathize and find him victimized if he's not doing any action or even question of any action.
I think that the interesting thing about Eren is that he quite possibly has this whole time just been the villain masquerading as the hero. And I think that might be what a little bit of what we're kind of wrestling with, is the fact that like we've been with this character all of these years, and all of this time we've been like supporting his goal for freedom for his people. But when we see like the reality of who he truly is, like even Mikasa was talking about how has Eren, like, is this possibly who Eren has been this entire time? If so, what was it that I admired so much about him? And like I think that the idea is that this is who he's been this entire time. He's been this person who would be willing to kill innocent people in pursuit of his freedom. And we, prior to, like, beforehand, when he was like younger, he didn't have power, it was easy for us to champion him because he seemed like a hero. But now that he's gotten to this point where he has the power to accomplish his goals by any means necessary, he's revealed to be the true villain.
Well, I would agree with you, but my problem is that even in this episode, he kind of proved to himself that partially why he's doing this is because he wants his friends to be happy. So it's like,
that's fair.
There's
That's
a little
fair.
altruistic inside what he's doing.
Yeah. I mean, villains have that too. Villains have that bit of altruism, but at the same time, I think that might be part of the reason why it's hard for you to empathize with him at this point, because he's not.
Because he's trying to murder everyone.
Well, okay, yeah, that's true, murder everyone. But to me, my biggest thing is it's not even the like. Again, I mean, obviously, morality is a different thing, but when it comes to stories, when a character makes a conclusion, like I have to understand how they come to that conclusion, and just to me, it just seems he went from all right, this thing, and then he went to another thing. I wish there was more of like, maybe at one point he did thought about we can go this other path, then sees, okay, this path ain't working, or something like that. I wish there was more of that, because then I'll empathize with him, where it's like, dude, we tried being peace, Armin, and look what happened. There's no reason why we should be doing peace. We just kill all of them. Like, I would totally look, like, I don't agree with the killing of everyone, but if the whole world, if they showed more of like the whole world, literally the whole world, and not just people that Marley just has, but like the whole world doing something where no matter what they do, they get destroyed, they get hated on, whatever, then I can totally, like, as much as I don't like Attack on Titan, I can totally go on board with it. All right, you know.
But that would have made him less of a villain.
Yeah, but then it goes back to the story of like this being a black and white thing, because that was the whole theme of it, being like there's morality, and like the morality is kind of gray, where it's like either be killed or be killed. Like that was sort of the thing they kind of were wrestling, where it's like no matter how you look at it, it's screwed up. So it's, for me, it's like I would have felt more, I guess I'd feel more empathetic towards his cause if there was more into that, as opposed to me just making it seem like we should just totally be against him. Like, I wish there was more of like, you know what, Eren, like, it's like how I feel about all the villains I see, and it's how I feel about a good villain in general, where it's like, you know what, I don't agree with you, Madara, it's crazy for you to make everyone, you know, fall asleep in, you know, in this reality world or whatever, but at the same time, it's like, I can see where you're coming from, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, there are other villains who we love who don't have that same understanding. Like you mentioned the Joker earlier, he's pure anarchy and chaos.
Yeah.
And that's like, we accept that because that's who his character is. We don't accept it because it makes sense. It doesn't make sense.
That's true, but the Dark Knight did in a way where you can understand why where he's coming from. Like it's still like, maybe it doesn't make sense in the sense where it's like it's not beneficial for humanity. Well, I guess you can argue, well, it's not as beneficial for humanity, but we can see why he believes that humanity should be this kind of way. Like, we get it. I just feel like Eren, it doesn't really like, it's not strong enough.
I get what both of you guys are saying. It's very interesting to hear this. It's very entertaining to hear this argument from the perspective of someone who knows the ending. But for you, Chuku, I totally understand. Like, I feel like Eren's motivations have not been like super clear, and that's one of the reasons I didn't really care, like from our part 2 discussion, I didn't really care about the fact that technically the scouts were being killed by Mikasa, Connie, and all the other people, and I didn't feel that because they were mainly faceless, and also I can sort of understand what they're fighting for. They're fighting out of fear that, you know, the rest of the world is gonna like murder them, but it feels too like there's not enough complexity to that. It just feels so like, oh god, people are out there, they're gonna kill us, let's make sure that we kill all of them because this is Eren's way. Like, I just feel like everyone jumped on Eren's boat way too easily.
Yeah,
there's a whole bunch of like things that are happening where the logic of the people who are following Eren don't necessarily make sense whatsoever, because like Eren has caused deaths of his own people as well on the island.
Yeah, I mean, that even in the rumbling, people on the island died.
Exactly. So it's like it's hard for me to understand the Jaegerists, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, man. I mean, I guess that pain of people wanting to, what's it called, they've just got so mad at everyone hating them that they don't care about, as long as
but not everyone went to the
the way that I see it as a mob mentality at work. So essentially, they have this leader who has come up to the top, and everyone else, because they're in a state of confusion.
Yeah, but isn't
and
Hanji
chaos,
like the commander of the scouts? And like
it doesn't matter because she's not Eren. She doesn't have the same
yeah, but Eren was
gravitas
literally
that
chilling.
Eren has.
Eren was literally chilling in Marley for a very long ass time. Like, when did he gain such a high authority? You know, like
I think we saw his discussion with Flock, right?
yeah, but
So
that's it. That's it, dude. Like, he's been chilling in Marley. What the hell
The thing
happened,
is that,
Hanji?
like,
Why'd you
it
lose
doesn't
all that
even
like
re-
respect?
It doesn't require all of that like planning to take control of mob mentality. The mob mentality is very spur of the moment. So in the situation where you have the chaos of being attacked, you have all of this mess happening around you, and then somebody comes up and it's like, hey, follow my plan. They're like, oh, sure. If a couple of people are like, oh yeah, I'll do that, and then more
Yeah.
people see that people are following.
I mean,
them,
this
like,
this
okay,
is
we might as
exactly
well
why
all
this is exactly why
follow.
they made them all faceless. I get what you're saying. I understand.
Yeah.
But like, none of the main characters would do that. Like, that's why none of them were there, except for Flock, who's like an idiot, a fanatical idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. All I'm just saying is it would have been interesting because I remember even what's his name? Armin kind of mentioned something where it's like, okay, they thought they were just going to destroy the Marley army. It would have been interesting if
Yelena?
Oh, Yelena.
There we go. Yelena. So the thing about Yelena is like she kind of revealed that Marley kind of is like everyone's only following Marley because they're afraid of Marley, right? So it's like this power thing. So it would have been interesting if their plan was something along the lines of like, we're going to destroy the Marley army, then it's going to liberate the world. And then at that point, it kind of has a different image on us. And that they were going with that plan, but then Eren, for whatever reason, he saw that plan not working. So then he's like, you know what? I'm sorry, Armin. As much as I can see where you're coming from, this ain't working. So we're just going to have to destroy the whole world. It just it's what it is, man.
Look, okay, I get okay, Chuku, I get what you're saying the entire time, like the whole character thing, the whole story aspects of it, but like, it's the fact that he wants to kill everyone in the world that makes it super hard to ignore the morality factor and other factors surrounding this argument. I'm sorry, it just seems ridiculous. Like, I cannot, I just can't.
I mean, Scott, I think if you experience extreme racism, you would understand that it's like, you know what, after every person.
Okay.
I mean, I know it's gonna suck, but it's
yeah, killing everyone is it's hard to, it's a hard motive to get behind.
For sure. It's something that, again, I can again, as I guess for me as someone who's a story writer, I could, separate my morality towards people's conclusions as long as their conclusions are reasonable to some degree.
But this ain't reasonable, bro.
Yeah, this ain't reasonable at all. It's just it's just 0 to 100, and the only conclusion we can make is, oh, that's just Eren's character, which to me that seems a little bit lazy.
I don't know if it's lazy though. I wouldn't consider it lazy because I think it's consistent. At least from the way that I see it, it's consistent with who he's been this entire time, and it seems like they've been building up to that. So I don't know. I think I don't see it as lazy.
This is gonna be very interesting to hear your guys' thoughts, like at the end.
I guess the ending will determine whether or not it was done well or not, in my opinion.
All right. Well, leave your guys' comments about this whole thing. Don't, if you read the manga, don't spoil it. Don't spoil it at all. Be like Scott, just keep things quiet at all. And let us know your opinions as well. Like and subscribe. And thanks for watching.